Hi everybody, I'm Jen Hall and I'm going to show you how to paint your little Triceratops figurine that I sculpted out of Sculpey clay. Sculpey is a pretty cheap and easy clay to get, and if you bake it, it forms a nice hard little sculpture that is easy to paint. So we're going to start off with this blue that you should have in your kit. And I'm just going to give the entire thing a coat. I'm not going to worry about my horns or anything getting blue on them. They won't be blue in the end, but for now they will be. And if you have other paints at home, these are just your standard acrylic paints. You can get them at Walmart or just your Michaels or AC Moore, whatever you have in your area. And we might give it a second coat since it's a little bit transparent on this first coat. And yeah, if you have other colors at home that you want to use, definitely don't have to use blue.
Do we know what color Triceratops was?
We do not, but we do think that they probably had some sort of interesting patterning and coloring on their frill, either as a sexual display or as a kind of intimidation towards other males, so competition. Either way, you're trying to impress a lady, which begs the question, would the female Triceratops be less decorated? And these are questions that we have a really hard time answering in paleontology because the integument, or skin, of an animal is almost never preserved unless it's in a imprint in the matrix surrounding the fossil. And even then, it's very difficult to figure out what the coloring or patterning might have been. You can do certain CT scans and different methods of analyzing on a much more microscopic level. And you can sometimes, in some dinosaurs, they've been able to decipher patterns and probable coloring from the microstructures in preserved fossils, especially from China, where they get smashed up like a pancake, and the preservation is exquisite.
Now, as you're working on the skull there, haven't we explored a couple interesting things about the microstructure of the bones in the skull?
Yeah, so the skull of Triceratops is interesting because it's kind of the best way to look at ontogeny or growth in these species. So over time, Triceratops as a young little guy or gal would have had epiossifications, or little spikies, that would fuse into the skull as they got older. So just like adult humans, our bones when we're young are not fully fused, but as we grow up and mature, they fuse and become a stronger structure. In humans, this is in case you get dropped, you're not going to sustain too much damage because you're more rubbery. All right. So we've got our blue drying there. And now is when I can go in and try to be pretty delicate about getting my horns here the right color. And again, after this dries, I might go over the colors with a second coat, just to make it a bit more opaque. And we'll also put in an eye and a beak here in a minute.
Wait, they had beaks like birds?
Kind of. They had, oops, made a mistake, but that's okay. If it's wet enough, you can kind of just slide that off, and we'll go over with blue in a minute. They did have a keratin sheath over a pointed beaky snout, which is pretty adorable if you ask me.
Do you think other dinosaurs had beaks like that?
Well, yeah, I do. I can't think of any at the top of my head. Can you?
Yeah. A big duckbill dinosaur behind you.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, just further proof that dinosaurs and birds are one and the same, so to speak. Okay. So for our more detailed areas, when I am painting something like that, I want to do these little ossifications, these little pointy parts on the frill. I'm going to use the back of my paintbrush and just dollop some paint on like that. You can hear our director Saber Moore in the background discussing Shindig. And I'm going to go all the way around the frill here. So it looks like that. Then I'm going to wipe that clean and do the same thing for my eyes, which would have been located just below our horns. Ta-da! And last but not least, the aforementioned beak. And you'll want to let layers dry, which I'm not doing for the sake of the video, but if you let them dry and then do another layer, it'll be easier to get this color nice and opaque. I'm just running my brush right up to the bottom of that nasal horn. And you can see where my blue got wiped away, so we'll just go back in with a little bit of that. And again, if you have other colors at home, or you want to order other colors, you can do other things like add stripes on the back or dots. I could even, well, since we're here, why don't we just do that? Assuming that you have paints at home. I guess I just assume that because I'm an artist, so I always do, but maybe you don't. You need to go out and get some while you wear a mask. Actually, I'm going to do dots. And again, the back of your brush and super loading it with paint should allow you to get different sized spots on the back here. So the more you kind of glob onto that end, the bigger your dot's going to be. And that is that. Thank you for participating in Shindig in a Box, and we'll see you next year.